Okay, let's be totally honest for a second here. Do you actually find joy in your work? Or are you just sitting at your desk, staring at the clock, basically just waiting for the phone to ring or for the day to finally be over? It's a pretty painful feeling, isn't it? Just kind of surviving the week. We've all been there, for sure. But what if changing that reality didn't require some massive, risky life overhaul? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're focusing on some really fascinating concepts from Chapter 2, Work Techniques for a 1-point Upgrade. We're going to see how making just minor, highly focused adjustments can completely transform not just your career path, but your everyday happiness. Seriously, we aren't talking about impossible leaps here. We're talking about a simple, totally achievable 1-point upgrade. The source material guiding us today is The Laws of Happiness by Ryuho Okawa. Specifically, we're pulling out actionable work techniques designed to shift our mindset from, dreading our jobs to actually mastering them. It's highly practical stuff, and we're going to explore it deeply. So here's the roadmap, or the skills ladder we're about to climb together today. First, finding purpose at work. Second, the self-discipline triad. Third, mastering the output. Fourth, generating value through planning. And finally, number 5, maximizing your team's power. All right, let's jump right into step 1, finding purpose at work, which is really the foundation of success here. The author makes a pretty bold claim right out of the gate. You have to discover your 10 May, that's your true calling or destiny, right where you currently are. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. No way, I literally hate my current job. But the text makes a great point. Doing good work at a job you despise, it rarely lasts. Eventually, your performance slips, your reputation takes a hit, and you can't just wait around complaining, expecting a dream opportunity to magically drop into your lap. You have to strive to find purpose and give your absolute best exactly in the environment you're planted in right now. Because, ironically, excelling there is exactly what opens the door to your next great opportunity. Okay, moving on to section 2, the self-discipline triad, where we talk about leveling up your inputs. Here's the first pillar of this self-discipline triad, reading. And no, I don't mean reading a novel at the beach. This is about actively gathering vital raw materials from books and newspapers to fuel your mind. Every single day at work throws new challenges at you, right? Well, you can't solve new problems with old information. Reading is literally the most fundamental, orthodox way to gather the building blocks you need to tackle whatever your job throws your way next. And get this, the text points out there's a massive 70 to 80% correlation between people who consistently read well and those who perform exceptionally at work. 70 to 80%. That is huge. So no, skimming the company newsletter doesn't really count. When you diligently gather those raw materials, your mind just rotates faster, and your ability to actually execute your job skyrockets. It's a direct cause and effect. All right, pillar number 2 is listening. Honestly, a lot of people completely overlook this one. The source emphasizes using your ears as a powerful weapon for gathering information. This means learning through audio or even television. Surprisingly, the text notes that information taken in through the ears often has a super high retention rate. Sometimes it's actually easier to remember than what we read. So, if your eyes are tired at the end of the day, your ears can still be working to level up your stats. And that brings us to the third pillar, writing. In our hyper-busy, constantly connected world, writing things down is the ultimate antidote to feeling overwhelmed. You know that feeling when your brain is just chaotic, like a computer with 100 tabs open, and you keep saying, "I'm so busy"? The text advises you to simply take a pencil and write down your problems on actual paper. This physical act instantly clarifies what the core issues are and exactly what needs to be done. So the crucial takeaway here is implementing a highly practical daily routine. It's 2 steps. Step 1, in the morning, write down exactly what you can accomplish today. Step 2, at the very end of the day, before you leave, look at that piece of paper, review what you physically accomplished, and clearly note what needs to carry over to tomorrow. If you just sit around vaguely waiting for things to happen, your efficiency drops to 0. But this simple little tracking method, it dramatically increases your daily productivity. Let's transition into section 3, mastering the output, going from routine to actual value. The text makes a really deliberate contrast between 2 types of work. On one hand, you have routine work. Think of this as conveyor belt tasks. They're predictable, standard, and frankly, pretty easily replaceable. If you can do it, someone else can probably swap in and do it just as well. But on the other side, we have planning. This is the high-value work because it requires generating something meaningful out of absolute nothingness. It's moving from 0 to 1. To become genuinely valuable to your company, you have to graduate from just turning the crank on routine tasks to actually planning and creating brand new value. Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, generating value through planning and how to unleash those ideas. The source highlights methods like the KJ method, which is basically where you group ideas on sticky notes to find hidden patterns, and good old-fashioned brainstorming. But here's the catch. For brainstorming to actually work, you have to completely ignore company hierarchy. You literally have to leave your job titles at the door. There can be absolutely zero criticism of ideas, no matter how wild or out there they seem. Total free expression is mandatory. Why? Because in a normal meeting, let's face it, if the boss speaks, everyone else just nods along. By removing hierarchy and that fear of looking silly, you spark those truly innovative, out-of-the-box ideas that become incredible new plans. Finally, we've reached Section 5, maximizing your team's power, which is really the ultimate goal of all of this. We've got another really powerful contrast to look at here, the selfish idea versus the team-first idea. A selfish idea is a plan designed basically just to make yourself look like a genius, or to get some personal praise. The text warns that if you're only thinking about yourself, your efforts are going to backfire. You'll just end up annoying everyone around you in what it calls a reverse effort scenario. Counter that with the team-first idea. This is an idea specifically designed to genuinely help your boss succeed, help your colleagues succeed, and elevate the entire group. Listen to this carefully, because this is so important. Think of others first. If your 1-point upgrade drops everyone else's score, you fail. Let that sink in. The text advises us to use a one-cushion approach. This basically means acting as a buffer or support system to elevate your colleagues, rather than, stepping on them to get ahead. If your personal success causes the overall team's score to drop, your plan is a failure. True success is never solitary. You have to ensure your actions are a net positive for the entire department. And that brings us to the end of our explainer. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. What 1 point will you upgrade tomorrow? We've covered the triad of reading, listening, and writing. We've talked about graduating from routine work to value-generating planning and doing it all with a team-first mindset. Now, you don't need to change everything overnight. Please don't try to. Just pick one piece of self-discipline, apply it tomorrow morning, track it tomorrow night, and just watch how that single tiny point begins to radically transform your entire career trajectory. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.